Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Distant Intimacy. I'm one of your hosts, Curtis Shoemaker, along with
your other host, Craig Kikowski.
And our guest today is the one, the only, America's real estate agent, Brian Keith Lewis. Oh, look, right here. Here's the intro. Brian Lewis can currently be seen on Fox, NBC, CNN, CNBC, New York Times, HGTV, the BBC, Wall Street Journal, all about real estate. But you know what? We're not here about real estate today.
You don't need that.
We're not here about real estate today. We're here about
That ain't paying your rent, baby.
We're here about Brian Keith Lewis,
Hey,
actor, voiceover artist, audiobook narrator, commercial star extraordinaire.
wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Curtis and Craig. I'm really nervous. Like I'm super nervous. Is that weird? This is so weird. I'm in New York City. It's the weird time that we're in. And I am in a pantry in my apartment. And my kids are over here homeschooling, probably sucking up all the bandwidth on our internet.
Yeah.
And I'm literally in a closet. Remember those days?
Well, no, I do not. I do not. But I think the reason you may be nervous is because there's actually no millions of dollars on the line today. It's just for fun. So that's why you're.
Well, there's that. But I gotta tell you, my fellow classmates, you always get nervous, right? Like, remember in acting class where you get up, your peer, it matters, right? It's like the game is on. I've heard Carla speak, and I've heard Rachel, and I've heard you guys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Now I remember. Now was your first William & Mary production, Dr. Palmer's House of Blue Leaves?
Oh yes, that was it. I didn't have the balls to audition freshman year at all. And so I did, I was in Busch Gardens stuff. I had a one-man show playing Northrop, which was way before Harry Potter, right? It was that kind of thing. So I came out of high school cocky as hell.
You came out in high school? Sorry.
I waited until I got to Busch Gardens. And then, those doors just busted open. But I came into freshman year. I spent a lot of time at Busch Gardens doing this one-man show that I thought was the bee's knees, and I kind of still do. It was so much fun. And then I came into freshman acting class with a guy, a visiting artist named Femi Yuba. Does anybody remember Femi Yuba?
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, he was from Africa, and he was awesome. Like, I loved that class. But everybody was starting to sort of build a bad word for William & Mary, but a tribe. Like, you guys had your theater tribe and your IT tribe. And I always felt a little bit, you guys were always so warm and loving, and this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with me. But I always felt a little like the outsider, right? And I hid behind a sort of veil of cockiness that was so undeserved with my Busch Gardens thing. And then I got involved in some other stuff at school, and I took that acting class. I did not have the balls to audition for a main stage. And then I left William & Mary. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like, I fully left. And I auditioned for a couple of places. Juilliard.
Okay. I do remember this now. Who did?
And then I auditioned for the North Carolina School of the Arts.
Wow.
And I got in, and I went to their professional acting program at age 18 with 1 year of William & Mary and a lot of Busch Gardens under my belt. And I went down there, and I missed William & Mary every single day. Every single day. I loved the work we did there. I loved the training. And I left at Christmas, and I told my teachers at NCSA that I was going to go back to William & Mary, and I planned to do that, and I did. They said, come back when you're done. Come back. Use us as like a graduates program if you want. And I never did. Wow. I came back to William & Mary, and I walked into the late, great Richard Palmer's office, who was my advisor and whom I had been through the Juilliard audition and the NCSA audition with. He advised me through that too, and even watched my audition pieces.
Oh,
and I came back in, he had his pipe in his mouth. I think his back was to me, and I don't think I made an appointment for the office hours. So I knocked on the door, and he goes, well, I thought I'd be seeing you again. And
Oh,
through you and but I began a great sort of, he was my advisor all the way through, and he's the reason I also majored in government.
mhm.
And he said, you got a lot of credits there, do that too. And he put me in Blue Leaves. So to answer your question in a very circuitous way, Curtis, I really came back with, I don't think I was cocky. You guys will tell me if I was, maybe I was. But I felt very like sort of trained a little bit, and I knew Richard gave me the confidence, Dr. Palmer gave me the confidence. So I auditioned for Ronnie, and I thought that was the best show in college for me, because it was you and it was Facella and Stillwagon, Carla. It was just like,
Incredible
I thought
cast.
that was, I died and gone to heaven.
That was a good show. Yeah.
And you had that long monologue as
Right.
Ron.
My father tell you all about me, Pope Ronnie,
Yeah.
show my life, how great I am. That's how he is with you. Can I tell you a story?
Please. That's why we're here.
I had a call back when I came to New York for Lincoln Center Theater's production of blah, blah, blah. And I went into an open call, and then I got a call back. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use that monologue, and I'm going to walk in the room, and I'm just going to start. Like, so I remember I was so fucking cocky. They called me in, and the door shut. And instead of just being a human being and walking in and standing there and being like, hey, I'm Brian Lewis, and here we are, and they'll ask you questions, you know, like an audition. I walked in, she shut the door, or I shut the door, and I was like, my father tell you all about me? And she's like, your father? What? And I went right into the monologue, and I saw her sit down like,
Okay.
goodness. Didn't get the role. And there you go. Went back to my bellman job. Yeah.
But if you had gotten the role, that would have been the story, you know?
That would have been the story.
If you had sat there, so this kid walked in and they went right into it. Right, exactly. As opposed to like looking at the resume going, well, anyway, you know.
Yeah. But Blue Leaves, that was fantastic.
That's good. And now because I know that besides studying with Richard Palmer, you did come to New York and you worked here, but you also studied with Uta Hagen. And there's a quote of you in the New York Times saying she told you you have to have a destination. What does that mean to you when she says that? What was that about in life, acting, a scene? What did that mean?
Well, I'll tell you, it means different things at different parts of my life, right? So when I was at William & Mary, the destination was to be hot for teacher. And we had a guest artist named Michael Rupert. And I had decided that I fell in love with this guy, like fully, madly, deeply. I don't know if it was mutual, but I came up, my destination was to be where he was. At graduation, I was like, I would go where that guy goes. And he was going to be in California, but he called me the week before graduation, said, I'm going to be doing a show in New York. And I had done a little off Broadway thing one summer while I was at William & Mary in New York, and I didn't love it. I didn't like New York. I was scared, lived in the East Village. I was just not, it was over my head. And so my destination was to go where he was, so I went to New York begrudgingly because I wanted to go to LA and I wanted to be on 90210 because that was going to happen.
That would have worked, yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I came to New York, and so I walked by HB Studio where Uta Hagen was the legend, and it was just near our apartment, right? I went in and I said, I'd like to audition for that class. And they said, here's what you do. And I auditioned knowing not really who she was. I just knew she was a big deal there. And I got called back. And an actress named Carolyn Dilley. Do you guys remember Carolyn? She wasn't a theater major, lifelong friend, but she was a William & Mary girl.
I do remember her, yeah.
Yeah, she auditioned with me. Like she decided to be part of that with me, and I got called back, and then I got into the class. And I trained with Uta for, I guess, 2 semesters, the equivalent of 2 semesters. Then she died, and bless. And but that was really cool to be around. And I was one of the younger kids in the class, and that was some kick-ass old school Howard Scammon era Like that was like
yeah.
the real deal. Like, yeah.
Well, was that her advice?
So,
Like in scenes or in whatever, you have to have a destination.
destination. So my destination there was to get into class. And then most of the time my destination became auditioning during the day so that I could get to my shift at the Four Seasons Hotel and carry rich people's bags by 4 o'clock every day, where I got my friend Mary Stillwagon a job. So she would check people in and I would carry their bags.
Mary.
So we did that for a long time.
Wow.
Shout out to Mary. I love you, Mary.
Hey, Mary.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mary.
Hi. Oh, I like that self-portrait on Facebook. That was a show shot. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mary. So you were in New York. You were banging. You became Mr. Head and Shoulders, I believe.
I did a lot of commercials.
Commercial acting. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Uda Hagen pulled me aside one time and she had seen me on some stuff and she goes, "How do you do that?" I said, "What?" And she goes, "You play yourself." She goes, "I can never do that. I have to always hide behind a character." She said it in her Uda Hagen way. I'm completely not what she said. But I was like, that's all I kind of knew how to play. And when I thought about it in college, I always played the ingenue. I never played like 65-year-old dude or anything out of type, which is the time in your life to probably try that, because then you graduate and you're typecast forever. So I missed that. And I was always the Squire or Joseph or the dude in Canterbury Tales.
It must be hell to be the good-looking leading man. That guy. I can imagine how much that sucks for you.
That's tough. Yeah.
Well, I was a William and Mary 8. I think that's probably in New York too. No offense to anybody.
No.
But I did a lot of commercials right out the bat. I did Head and Shoulders and McDonald's, and I paid off my student loans with those. And I also learned, that was a very good moment for me, because I loved getting recognized more than anything. Like that was my thing. And I was like, oh, I just kind of want to be famous.
Okay.
Like you guys want to act. Like fame you would love too.
Fame is fine. That'd be fine.
But I kind of knew that early on. And I was sitting in Uda Hagen's class watching everybody sweat it out. I'm like, I just want to be famous. That's what I want. And I was living with Michael at the time, who is still a friend. And I realized this was a Tony Award winning actor who was not always making ends meet. Right? I don't think I'm talking out of school.
Oh.
You have peaks and valleys, and at some stage he can't have a day job, right? You can't go and wait tables. If you have a Tony Award, I guess you could, but I was like, oh, well, he works way more than anybody I know, and I'm not thrilled in class. I kind of just want to be famous. I just started having an identity crisis at that moment, and full disclosure, I think I have it all the time, and I think that's what drives me. Is I never quite feel like I'm done or I'm there. And I did the commercial thing, and then there was a SAG strike, and I was turning 30, and I went to the Actors Fund. God bless the Actors Fund, because I literally at that moment had not much money. I paid off my loans, but I had nothing. And I was living in a crap apartment because the Michael thing wasn't really going to go anywhere, except a great friendship, which I have for life. And I went to the Actors Fund, hat in hand, and they made me fill in a bubble sheet. Like that tells you how long ago this was. And they said, you should try real estate. Wow. And I said,
wow. Okay.
And they said, we'll pay for it. I said, that's even better.
That's fantastic.
So they paid for my real estate school, which, it wasn't significant money, but it's money. It's money. And I never looked back. I paid them back, and I give to the Actors Fund whenever I can. I watch Stars in the House. My friend Seth has this show where everybody from Broadway goes on. You guys should check it out. It's awesome. And I give whenever I can, and I buy my house seats through the Actors Fund. And just a great group. It's fantastic. So I started with real estate, and that was 1999, and I still do it. So
that's amazing.
Because when were you doing now? You've also since, because you still kept acting some during that, because you were doing audio books.
I still do that occasionally when I'm asked, and despite this echo chamber, like when I have a mic in a little room, that sounds really good.
You did Danielle Steele and Dick Cheney. I mean, that's
yeah,
that's
kind of the same. Have you ever seen them in the same room together? No. That's the thing about those two.
I
there is
always
drama.
suspected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious. But
Intrigue, yeah.
yeah,
One
Daniel,
all about heart, one lacking a heart. Yeah, that's true.
they say she's very prolific, and some of the writing. And I'm not gonna. What do you,
You're not gonna trash it, say it's romance, whatever.
But she gave me $10,000 a book to read for 3 days, and I love just going to a booth for 3 days with a mic and reading.
Right.
That's a gift. No phone, no nothing, just reading. And then I did the Dick Cheney book. That was a big book, and that was Barton
Something,
from the Washington Post did it. Fantastic read. I think it launched the day like the recession began, like the big Great Recession. And I was like, nobody's paying attention to that. But lately, though, since I've gotten some good response from that. So,
well, now also it says I found you did a staged reading with Joan Rivers. What was that?
God, you did your research. You did your research, Curtis. Oh my gosh. Well, let me back up. I got my equity card with a show called Jeffrey, which was a very important Paul Rudnick play that ran here in New York. During the height of the AIDS crisis, for all the young viewers out there, Angels in America had happened, which was our opus, right? That was amazing and still holds up to this day. Pulitzer Prize winner. But Paul Rudnick, being the comedy writer he is, he wrote the first AIDS comedy. Not irreverent to what we were going through.
No, but just humor and everything, probably,
Paul Rudnick's a genius. And so they did this production in New York, and it ran off Broadway for a long time with some great actors in it. And I saw it, and I was like, whoa. And then I knew the AD on that, and I knew the AD was going to go and direct it at the Source Theater in D.C. And I said, Michael, I want to audition for you. He said, what? And I said, I want to audition for you. So I did, and I kept auditioning for him, and I kept making my presence known. He asked me. I lied. I told him I was equity, fully lied. And I got to the Source Theater, and day one, they came in with an equity contract, and I kind of looked at I'm signing for my equity card now.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I did it. We were supposed to run for 6 months, and this was in '93, I think. And the thing about that is that put me on this little track where they're, casting people. No offense to anyone out there in casting. Sometimes their creativity, they're like, oh, you're the guy that does the gay plays.
Right.
And so I would go back to New York, and all I was auditioning for was some lesser quality gay theater. And at one point, at a low moment, I needed the health benefits through equity. So I did a play called Party, which was actually kind of fun, and I learned a lot. And I met one of my loves in that show. And it involved me being an understudy, not just the actor, but an understudy for 3 roles for which I never rehearsed. And I had to call in at half hour. I didn't have to go in. And I knew the company had come in from Chicago, and I knew that they'd never missed a show. So I thought, this is going to be an easy paycheck, and I'm going to get my benefits. This is cake. I got called in. Somebody had appendicitis, and I had never rehearsed. And that character had to be nude, fully nude on stage. Wow. Yeah, fully nude on stage. And I stood there at goodness, what theater was that? Off Broadway. It's no longer there. 42nd Street. I'll get it in a minute. I stood there on stage. I didn't know all my lines because never had a rehearsal, and I was naked. So I got to live the actor's nightmare.
Yeah, the nightmare. And
wow. I lived it. I fully
lived no more vulnerable situation to be in.
Oh yeah, and it was a comedy, so there was a lot of laughing on stage. I'll never forget one of the actors who knew the show in and out, helped originate it, helped write it. He was on stage with me, and he was always a little downstage of me. And during the appropriate moments where he would laugh, he'd lean forward, turn around, and throw me a line. And then I would just move through it. And I got to tell you, my agent was there, Mary Stillwagon was there, everybody was there, and I'm naked. So the difference between me and a stripper at that moment was the playbill. That's about it. So
So Joan Rivers was
that, and because of that, I got a reading from somebody else who had seen it.
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they looked waist down, waist up. I don't know. Probably waist up. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So he asked me to be in this reading, and it was Terrence McNally's husband at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he passed away. Terrence, I think, went with somebody else. And I did this reading at Rattlestick Productions in New York. And Joan Rivers.
Killing a real estate woman.
Killing a Real Estate Woman. And Tova Feldshuh was in it, too.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So they were all in it, and I was in it. And I'll never forget, we had book in hand because we got like 3 hours of rehearsal, and then we ate, and then we came back and we did it. And Joan Rivers was playing. I was playing this Texan investor guy. She was my real estate agent. And at one point, I just remember Joan, she'll do anything for a laugh, right? And she was going through her script, and she was lost, clearly. We were all lost. And she just looked at me, the audience looked, and she slapped me. She got a laugh. I grabbed her hand. It was something silly like that. I was like, oh, I get it. You just get a laugh.
You just get a laugh.
You just go for the freaking laugh. But one of the things that I learned from watching her, and I know her that much, right? It was that afternoon, that evening, is that she worked her ass off. And now we know that because there's like documentaries about
Right.
her. She would just work her tail off. And again, that drive, that knowing that it wasn't beyond just fame, it was just to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what it takes for you guys who are doing it. I mean, I watch you guys, and I didn't wake up at night like, oh my God, I'm not on stage. I didn't have those nightmares. And I felt like, do I have the drive here? Or do I just want to be famous? Like there was always that. And then real estate just sort of took off because I really I'm like a drug dog. I just like do it.
Well,
yeah.
But everybody, most people have seen you or see A Beautiful Mind, which again was on this weekend. So you got some money there.
I get like a $7 check.
$7
every time that run.
It's not nothing.
What they know is they see you put your pen down and say professor.
Professor.
But what I know is that you were Russell Crowe's body double and spent 3 months acting out that role in A Beautiful Mind.
You know what? Thank you for remembering that, Curtis. We love you. I love you. Curtis needs to be my agent. Like, seriously. So I got a call. Okay, another thing that happened to William & Mary was I got called in for this movie called True Colors with John Cusack and James Spader. Because my dad had gone to high school with a casting director who was in Petersburg, Virginia, and I went in and met him. And he's like, "You want to be an extra for a week?" I was like, "Sure." So I just skipped school, Mary, went and got on a film set, hung out with John Cusack, had beers. It was a lot of fun, and then went back to college, and then went to New York. But he remembered me, that casting director, and he called me in New York, and I was well engrossed in real estate. He said, "Russell Crowe always fires his stand-ins. Would you go and meet Ron Howard and Russell Crowe today in Bayonne, New Jersey? They're about to start shooting. He hasn't gotten a good stand-in yet." I was like, okay. I mean, yeah, okay, I get to meet Russell Crowe and Ron Howard. So I go, I take the PATH train over, and I take the little river train over, and I go in, and there they are. And Roger Deakins is the DP. Wow. Roger starts looking at me with lights, and Russell comes up to me. Yeah, all that stuff. And Russell comes out with his cigarette, squinty, and he looks at me and he hands me a script, sides. And he's like, go get off for this. I was like, wait, stand in? Like, okay. Like, what? And he goes, listen, dude, you're going to have a chance to read for Ron Howard and me. Do this. I'm like, all right, I'll go do it. So it was a scene. I'd never read the script. He come back, and I just did it. In fairness, I don't think they were like, wow, this guy. Who is this guy? Oh. I think they were like, okay, we're just watching him move his lips. Light, good. Can this guy, okay, hire him. So I'm not overinflating the importance of that, but it was pretty cool for me. But the thing is, Russell said, I expect you to be off book every day for the scene that we're going to shoot. And he said, because when they call first team, which is the main actors, your second team, never to be confused with first team, but they'll call us back. I want you to step in with Jennifer Connelly and Ed Harris. I want you to run the scene as me so that I can stand behind the monitor and watch the final shot so I can step in and know my light and stuff. So that was a hard job.
I can imagine, because you're the stand-in, and we all, you're second
Yeah,
team.
Yeah.
But then you're walking on with Connolly and Bettany, and like doing the scene as if you're him because you have to for them because you're going to
Totally.
You're right, and then like, all right, step out now. That's just incredible.
And you guys have had stand-ins before. I never have, and if I ever have the occasion to, I will be so nice to him. I will be so kind. I will buy gifts for him. I mean, what I had to do there was insane because I wasn't part of the crew. They don't claim you. The actors don't claim you.
Nope.
And you have to be sort of, at least the job I had, the specific role that Russel carved out for me was it was like going to film school. I had to kind of know what everybody did. I had to understand what the new energies were on the set every day. I had to know what his fucking mood was every day. And I had to watch him at work. If he changed something or they changed the shot, I had to step in and get it without wasting studio Hollywood time because that's money.
It's like you're acting personal assistant. It's like you were literally.
Yeah. Hold my cigarette during the scene, which I never did. But you know what I did?
Very nice to second team because they're very professional. They're there all day.
Oh yeah.
The earliest call to wrap. They're on their feet all day.
All day.
Passes off. Yeah.
I just hate it. Well, it's like when I see some actors, even to this day, who are still ignore or shitty to background people. I'm like, why are you being that way? Why? What are you gonna do that?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even background. I was a stand-in, which is a bump up. But we got a lot of money on that job. We got a lot of money, and then Ron Howard gave me as a gift a day player. He gave me a line. Akiva wrote it. He won the Oscar, I think. And he wrote a little bit for me to make me one of the professors that in the pinnacle scene in the movie. Right. And Ron gave me a shot where you actually cross toward camera. It wasn't just a wipe, which is a whole different setup, which is a whole different lighting. And he did. I did get a stand-in for that 1 minute. Like he gave me a stand-in. I gave him a big hug, and we did the scene, and I was very happy with that. And like 2001, Brian Lewis immortalized.
Well, the question is, was the residual check based on the 3 months or 1 day?
Oh, just the line. The only thing you get from SAG, but we were going into golden time. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. Oh, time.
One day we shot one of the scenes that was like the at New Jersey PAC, the Performing Arts Center. We shot the Nobel Peace Prize scene, and it was a 23-hour shooting day. Ooh. I think we went into double gold.
Double gold. Yep.
Yeah, which is like a day's pay for every hour.
Right.
And all meal penalty. That was a big check. And all my health benefits. It was great. But you only get your residual check, to answer your question, for the line you have. And I was a day player.
Ah, damn.
But it's still fun to get.
Oh, yeah.
So
no.
And I won't ever be intimidated on a set, I don't think. Except for this. I'm still I'm nervous.
Wow.
This is pretty intense.
You can only be intimidated because I think Craig should be intimidated because he doesn't have the right cup, does he?
We've got
yeah.
I have a Schitt's Creek snow globe.
I love
that kind of wins.
That counts for a lot.
Yeah, that counts for a lot. That kind of wins. So we've taken you through this. You're now America's real estate agent, TV, selling $1 million homes, supporting the fam and the lovely girls. But what's your next destination? Are you going to come back in 10 years and start taking all the Silver Fox roles?
I should, right?
Yeah,
with you. Let's do it. Let's do a top show. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. And Craig, you could be the captain in the squadron.
Done.
Us out.
I'm in.
You could be anything, Craig.
Get into my office.
Get it.
Can I just say something? You guys, your spirit and your generosity and your sweetness is so powerful and needed right now. And I got to tell you, this is so refreshing. It's so lovely that you're doing this. And this is like, I just love it. And I on the heels, and I heard Craig say this, on the heels of Murawski's passing, that gutted me. I wasn't even that close with him, but I believe he worked at Busch Gardens when I worked at Busch Gardens. So we grew up together. I dated Wendy. He married Wendy. I was loving both of them. I didn't know which one I wanted to be with. I loved them, and it just gutted me. Yeah. And then Palmer, and then I was like, and then this. You guys just created this wonderful thing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. You're more than welcome. We're just, we're just trying to stay safe in here so we can get back out there and stay safe and doing everything else and reliving some old times. So once again, we've run long. Zoom is going to cut us off.
Can I just say this? Because I like to talk, and I'm a little lonely. I'm in my pantry. It's like, I'm just hiding out here.
You got the husband and 2 girls running on. So how's homeschooling go?
Homeschooling is I got to tell you, all the credit goes to my husband, Matt. Matt's brilliant. He's amazing. He does way more than me, and I take victory laps. That's he's really doing the work. And
have the students started complaining about the teachers drinking early in the day?
Are the daddies drinking early in the day?
Our teachers drinking again, yeah.
Exactly. We do it. Our girls are good. They're 8 and 7. By the way, they've been to PBK Hall before they took it down.
Oh, nice.
And Trish came and put them on main stage. They were about to do Into the Woods Tech or something, and Trish came and gave them a little piece of the Wolf's costume, so they still have that. And they got to walk on the stage, and they got to go in the aisles. My girls got to see pictures on the wall. It just was so great to have.
Brian, you're on the wall, aren't you, Brian?
I'm on a few times.
Greg, are you on the wall? Did you make the
Sure.
wall? Okay.
I'm on the wall.
I'm on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
We all
out
remember
to Andrew. Remember Andrew? Andrew DeShazio.
Yeah.
Okay, I do. Yes. Redhead.
He did all those pictures.
Did he? Wow.
He got his project.
I remember when we were students there, all we wanted to do was we'd walk down those hallways. We'd look at like Linda Lav and Glenn Close and go, and we'd all think to ourselves, I know I'm going to be on that wall. I want to be on that wall too.
We did a benefit for William and Mary Arts, like the theater. Linda Lavin gave a big check to the arts. I don't know if you're supposed to know that, but now you do. And they had it at my apartment.
Wow.
Like they had a little soiree.
Was my invitation lost then, apparently?
You know what? I didn't get to invite anybody. But Linda Lavin came to my apartment, and she gave me a big hug, and she whispered in my ear, "Don't give this money to the fucking business school. This goes to the art." And maybe she didn't say fucking, sorry, Linda Lavin.
Okay, I'm sure.
But in my head, she
edit
did.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that. She gave money, and I love that. But to answer your question, I'll take very little more of your time. The next destination, I tell my girls this. I am going to retrain. I'm actually going to train, like for real.
He's coming for us. He's coming.
And I'm going to do something. I don't know what's going to happen with it because your type changes. But I figure all the dudes that I used to audition with have the seas have parted. Maybe I'll just come in and be like the Wilford Brimley of the 2030s.
I'll be Wilford Brimley. You be Don Amici. We'll be all set.
I like it.
Again, you know?
I like it.
Hume Cronin right over there in the corner.
It's Cocoon.
It's Cocoon. All right. So, Brian, as we wrap up before Zoom cuts us off, we've been finishing up with William Mary. We've been asking everybody, if heaven exists, what is Trish West going to say to you at the pearly gates?
I think Trish will look at me and go, places.
Excellent. Guys, this is another episode of Distant Intimacy with Brian Lewis. Brian, thank you for coming on. And everybody, as always, stay safe, everybody.
Go Tribe.
Go Tribe.